Hello, good day, my SM viewers. This is Satellite Media. If you are new to the channel, kindly like, share, subscribe, and please do not forget to hit the notification bell. Let us look at this news. Of course, it's an excitement. Though we understand that in the Nigerian judiciary, it is prejudice to preempt the outcome of judgment of the court. So we are not going to dive into any area that has to do with prejudice. But this will have to do with the evidence by a DSS personnel. Of course, I think it's the second prosecution witness in the case involving federal government of Nigeria and Nnamdi Kanu. I'm reading from Daily Post. He said, "We did not find weapon of terrorism on Kanu during arrest in Lagos. DSS witness tells courts." He went further to say that a witness of the federal government admitted at the Federal High Court in Abuja on Friday that no weapon of terrorism or violence was recovered from the Biafra Nation agitator Nnamdi Kanu during his arrest on October 15, 2015 in Lagos. He still went further to say that the witness, who is an operative of the Department of the State Service, DSS, and codename prosecution witness AAA, also informed the court that no arm of public disturbance was recovered from the lady arrested alongside Kanu. In a cross-examination conducted by Kanu's lawyer, Kanu Agabi San, the witness said all the items were personal properties of the Biafra agitator. Let me say that this is a very clear one, and of course for me it's exciting. I understand that it is a court that will have the right to do judgment after the prosecution have closed their case. Of course, Nnamdi Kanu will open his defense. Thereafter, the two parties will be made to address the court before the court will come up with judgment. We are not going to dive into anything that prejudices the outcome of the judgment. But the point we are making here is we understand what Nnamdi Kanu stands for. Nnamdi Kanu stands for equity, justice, and fairness. That we have already known. And Nnamdi Kanu is someone who is talking about self-determination. Even in the course of this prosecution, at the level of the court, he has made it very clear that self-determination is a right. Of course, we all know that self-determination is a right. Of course, it is a UN charter that will ratify in Nigeria. To that extent, it's already a law in Nigeria legal jurisprudence. You understand that Nnamdi Kanu was extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria. Of course, the Court of Appeal ruled before now that Nnamdi Kanu should be released. Hence, he was extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria, and that the federal government have lost every right to prosecute him. The federal government appealed that case. Of course, that's the reason we are seeing this case starting afresh. But the point here is the issue of self-determination is a right. It doesn't matter the opinion of anybody. It doesn't matter how anybody, whether you like the face of Nnamdi Kanu or not, self-determination has been established as someone's right. And again, what we are seeing, I think it is high time the federal government of Nigeria continue to realize the need to engage with agitators constructively on the basis of, okay, what should we do as a people? Do we go for referendum? Do we reject the current grand non talking about the constitution? And one thing is certain, Igbos, Biafrans have made it very clear that they are no longer interested in anything called Nigeria. That what they are interested in is the sovereign state of Biafra. And it doesn't matter the opinion of anybody, self-determination is a right, just like Baba said. So the point here is, I think what the government needed to do as a matter of necessity is to invite world bodies like the UN, the European Union, to come and supervise a referendum. And the point is, if after the referendum, of course, the government will convert their own opinion why they may not want Biafra to succeed, and people who want Biafra to succeed for Nigeria will equally convert the opinion. Just like we saw Brexit from European Union, a situation where some people were for Brexit, some were against it. At the end of the day, those in minority who were saying they want to remain in European Union had their say, but those in majority who say they want to exit European Union had their way. And today, as we have it, UK already exited European Union. So in the same vein, the issue of handling, arresting, intimidation have not worked. Of course, it has been established that there's no way it can work, because someone like Professor Olusegun have always maintained that Biafra is an ideology, and as such, that you cannot defeat it through the power of gun, you cannot defeat it by intimidation, you cannot be defeated by handling, arresting, and prosecuting people. The only way you can address it is through a geological point of view. We understand that Nnamdi Kanu himself has raised so many issues that the government had refused to address, particularly the issue that has to do with the marginalization of the Igbos. The marginalization did not start today. It started even way back before and after the war. We understand that Gowon, who led Nigerian troops during the war, maintained that to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. And after the war, it was declared that no victor, no vanquish. Apart from no victor, no vanquish mantra, it was the government came up with 3R, which was supposed to unite everybody, talking about reconstruction, reintegration, and yes, reconstruction, reintegration, and it's about 3R anyway. But the point here is, many years after the Civil War, the government upon government are afraid to give attention to whether reconstruction, whether integration, whether the other area where they need to rebuild the Southeast, they never give it attention. And as we have it today, we have always seen things skewed against the Igbo region, against the southeastern part of the country. Almost every government, you see marginalization rearing its ugly head against that region. And you continue to understand that it is a justifiable reason for people to decide to exit Nigeria. So if you want people to drop the agitation, I think the best thing to do is to address those concerns, address those root causes of agitation, which has to do with pure marginalization. As we have it currently under this administration, we understand that one of the service chiefs is from the southeastern part of the country. I think apart from Jonathan era, this is the first time we are seeing southeastern part of the country getting a service chief since about 8 years running. Under the Muhammadu Buhari 8 years, we never saw any of the service chiefs went to that region. So it goes to show that the people who are agitating that they want to leave are very much correct. Then we equally look at the issue of insecurity that the federal government have been foot dragging and have not been able to crack it in terms of protecting lives and property. Of course, nobody wants to stay in a country, in an environment where life is valueless, where life has no value, where people are being killed at will, where Fulani military reigns supreme, where people live at the mercy of the Fulani military, like we have currently in Nigeria. We all take note of what happened in Bokos and Basa local government areas of Plateau recently. We have seen what is happening in Benue. We saw how the Reverend Father Alfred from Benue State went to the United States of America Congress to present Nigerian situation to the American Congress. Of course, after that, we saw American Congress asking Trump to sanction Nigeria. So the point is, if we have a system, we have a president who have sworn to an oath to protect lives and property, who go by the name or rather the nomenclature of the president and the commander of the armed forces, and you see Nigerians dying their numbers, you see Nigerians being killed, being kidnapped, being maimed, being raped, and the government seems to be handicapped. Of course, I think the best option for people is to say, let us have a way to protect ourselves. If it means seceding from the country, to have your own separate country, through legitimate means like self-determination to achieve it, I don't think it is anything wrong. That is where the government needs to rise to the occasion and think out of the box and look for ways to protect lives and property. If for any reason they want to persuade people to drop the agenda of existing the country. We are talking about Biafra. We are equally seeing from the Yoruba angle, talking about Oduduwa Republic. We saw Sunday Igboho going to United Kingdom, the office of the Prime Minister, to submit a letter about how the Oduduwa nation should exit Nigeria. Even if the British High Commission in Nigeria here advised Sunday Igboho and his likes to join hands with other Nigerians to move Nigeria forward instead of deciding to exit Nigeria. We record that when Britain needed to exit European Union, nobody advised them to stay back and join hands with other members of European Union countries to move the European Union forward. Rather, they were given the opportunity to decide what they wanted, and today they are no longer member of European Union. The same vein, what is source for the goose is equally source for the gander. So what I expect every lover of freedom, every lover of human dignity, and everyone that have disdain for the ways of life to do is to prevail on Nigerian governments to do the needful. To do the needful is to allow the rule of law to prevail. To do the needful is to, when people agitate, to listen to them and know whether there is need for everybody to come on a roundtable conversation to decide whether we have to continue being together or we should part our separate ways. It is not until people go to war that you can part ways, so long as it is done within the ambits of the law. So long as it is devoid of rancor, it is devoid of wanton destruction of lives and property, and it is through self-determination. Of course, the referendum can be conducted, and who say the government cannot convert opinion and perhaps get more people who say they want to stay back in Nigeria. And if that happens, of course, that will put an end to anything agitation to secede from the country. But let me say very, very thankful for your time. Please start. Let me down, Mr. Matu.